sophistication of the weaponry available to the ANC. The Goldstone Commission failed to probe these issues or give reasons for discounting them, and the violence continued. All of this is significant because the political violence that still continues today and that the Commission is tasked with investigating involves the very same protagonists. The inclusion of the NFP does not signify a new and a different conflict that can be studied independently or independent of anything that happened prior to the genesis of the NFP. Indeed, the conflict between the NFP and IFP is simply a continuation of the conflict between the ANC and the IFP. For the birth of the NFP was funded and strategized by the ANC. This is not a conjecture, but objective fact based on the evidence tabled before Parliament by the IFP's president, to which not a single leader of the ANC, including the president, offered any contradiction. The fact of the ANC-NFP alliance immediately after the 2011 elections forces even a cynic to accept the link between these two parties. The Premier himself was vehemently and publicly spoken of the need to protect the ANC-NFP coalition. On the 2nd of October 2012, as the ANC's MEC for Transport, Safely and Community-Liaison, Mr. Mchunu officiated at a sword-turning ceremony in Umches. This was a sword-turning on a multi-million rand public transport facility being constructed in Ward 4.
Mr. Kwala, please pause. Umches, please.
Okay.
She will spell it, Mr. Kwala.
Oh, Umches.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
For the record, this is start by spelling the Kwala's isiZulu name, which is spelled as Muziwenkosi, and Umchezi is spelled as UMTSHEZI.
Proceed, Mpepet.
Okay, thanks. This was a sword-turning on a multi-million rand public transport facility being constructed in Ward 4. However, the ceremony was inexplicably held in Ward 8, where a by-election was due to take place. During his remarks, Mr. Mchunu, Willis Mchunu, accused opposition parties of killing an ANC councillor in order to steal a municipality. He assured opposition councillors present that the ANC was not scared of such nobodies, and pointed out how the ANC had killed the Boers, who, he explained, were a stronger enemy than the current opposition. Explaining his words later, he said, I quote, "I spoke strongly against the present maneuvers by certain people to deal a deadly blow to the ANC-NFP working agreement. I was at the forefront during the negotiations toward the ANC-NFP agreement, and it must be protected by all means," unquote. It must be remembered that in October 2012, eThekwini IFP Ward 39 councillor, Mr. Temba Ulu, was kidnapped by people posing as policemen.
Please pause.
For the record, Temba is spelled as T-A-E-M-B-A and Ulu is X-U-L-U.
In fact, Chairperson, may I make this proposal? I see that henceforth there will be a lot of isiZulu names. May I propose that they be spelled after the conclusion of each paragraph as opposed to sentence?
Yeah, very well.
Thank you. Mr. Kwala, will you then kindly pause after each paragraph wherever there is an isiZulu word, but I will assist you in that regard.
Yeah. When IFP members came to support the distraught Xulu family, one of our members, Ms. Teliwe Shezi, was gunned down by NFP members. Councillor Xulu was found dead a few days later, riddled with bullets. Shortly after that, IFP member Ms. Bongani Lushaba was murdered in Wamashu. The public perception is that police are involved in the kidnapping and murder of Councillor Xulu. That perception is vindicated by the fact that Councillor Xulu's case has not been pursued by the police in order to identify those people who are impersonating police officers and thereby clear the name of the police. At some stage, it was agreed that Major General Jula will take the file to his task team and pursue this case.
Please pause.
For the record, Teliwe is spelled as Celiwe and Shezi is spelled as Shezi. Bongani is spelled as Bongani. Lushaba is Lushaba. And General Jula is spelled as Jula. Thank you.
Kwamashu.
Kwamashu is capital KWA, capital MASHU.
Thank you. Proceed, Mr. Kwala.
In the midst of this, a delegation of the NFP met with the then MEC Willis Mkhunu as the chairperson of the multi-party task team on political violence, of which I'm a member, expressing their commitment to peace and calling for the end of violence in Wamashu. A member of the same delegation attended the court case of NFP members who were on trial for the murder of the IFP's Teliwe Shezi. Outside the court, in broad daylight, and in front of both the media and the police, he took out a gun and shot dead the IFP Siyabonga Dlamini.
Siyabonga Dlamini. Siyabonga is capital Siyabonga. Dlamini is capital Dlamini.
These four murders of the IFP members were all politically motivated. There are many others that have taken place between 2011 and today. But as I have related, the murders did not begin in 2011. They are not different to the murders that were occurring before 2011. And they cannot be studied in isolation from the murders that came before. By the way of analogy, immediately before the 1994 elections, KwaZulu-Natal endowed 19 political murders over the course of just 3 days. But it would be meaningless to study those 19 murders without referring to the 20,000 deaths that preceded them as a consequence of the ANC's People's War. There are trends from the political violence prior to 2011 that remain unchanged. One is extremely poor record of investigation into murders of IFP leaders and members, and the very low conviction rate. Whether this speaks of a lack of political will or simply ineffective policing, the fact remains that crime escalates when there is a perceived lack of consequences. The IFP believes that many murders and attempted murders would never have taken place except for the belief on the part of the perpetrators that they were politically protected from punishment. During the ANC's People's War, some 400 leaders of the IFP were systematically assassinated. To date, there have been hardly a single conviction. I attached a list of the names together with the details of all these assassinations.
Mr. Gwala, that list is that Exhibit L that is entitled Inkatha Freedom Party office bearers killed?
Yes.
We'll talk about that shortly. Proceed.
The IFP has pleaded for an investigation into these political matters for more than 2 decades. We submitted a plea to then President de Klerk, to President Mandela, and subsequently to President Mbeki, but no commission of inquiry was ever established. So the question must be asked, why a commission of inquiry has only been established now, and why its investigations have been limited to the period after 2011. There is no doubt that much of the current violence is intra-party violence with the ANC and the NFP, but the murder of IFP members and leaders is still continuing, and there are still very few convictions. The perception remains that politically connected hitmen are acting with impunity. We still have no answers for the family of Councillor Patrick Ngubane, who was shot and killed at Kagiso Hostel on the 19th July 2014, or for the family of Mr. Alsin Kosi, who was shot dead in Abakulusi on the 17th June 2016, or for the families of Mr. Sianda Mguni and Mr. Thokozani Majola, who were shot at point-blank range on the 23rd July 2016, or for the family of Mr. Mkupeni Mboni, who was shot dead by an ANC member on the 2nd August 2016, or for the family of the IFP branch chairperson, Mrs. Simosake Ndlovu, who was shot multiple times outside his home on the 19th December 2016, seeing the fulfillment of a series of death threats, or for the family of Ms. Lungsani Stole, who was stabbed to death on the 19th December 2016, and he returned from his father's funeral in Esikhaweni, or for the family of Mr. Mduduzi Eric Kubeka, whose body was found along the side of the road in Godini on the 21st February 2017.
For the records, Patrick Ngubane spelled as Ngubane, and Alsin Kosi spelled as Nkosi, Abakulusi spelled as capital Abaqulusi, Sianda Mguni, Sianda spelled as Siyanda, Mnguni, Mnguni, Thokozani Majola, Thokozani spelled as Thokozani, Majola, Majola. Mkupeni Mboni, Mkupeni is Mcupeni, and Mboni is Mboni. Simosake Ndlovu, Simosake is Simosakhe, and Ndlovu is Ndlovu. Lungisani Sithole, Lungisani is Lungisani, Sithole is S-I-T-H-O-L-E. Esikawini is E-S-I-K-H.
I'm sorry, was it Esikaleni or Esikawini? Which what we have here is Esikaleni.
I agree with you, Chair. It's Escalene. Should be Escalene.
Yes.
Should be read as Escalene.
Okay. Then Esikhaleni is E capital S-I-K-H-A-L-E-N-I. And Mduduzi Kubeka, Mduduzi is spelled as M-D-U-D-U-Z-I. Kubeka is K-U-B-H-E-K-A. Ngodini is spelled as capital N-G-O-D-I-N-I.
Chairperson, there are many serious issues that trouble us, and I shall mention just a few here. One, a number of Amakos have been killed over the past few years. No state apparatus was put in place to investigate the killings of Inkosi Lushaba of Port Shepstone, Inkosi V. Gwala of Donnybrook, Inkosi Linda Matonsi of Mandeni, Inkosi Zondi of Umvoti, Inkosi Beyiphika Johannes Mdluli from Umkhanyakude, Inkosi Magongo Bheka Inkosi Gwala of Emaphepheteni in Indwedwe, who was brutally slaughtered like an animal by the ANC youth in his traditional courthouse in 1990. There was no offer of rewards for the arrest and conviction of any of their killers. After such killings, a task team would be put in place to investigate, but we do not receive any reports on the progress of such investigations. This is a clear sign that the killing of Amakosi is not considered as a high priority crime. It must be remembered that Amakosi are public representatives and have an important role to play in the communities that they represent.
For the records, Inkosi Lushaba, Inkosi is I-N-K-O-S-I with capital I, and Lushaba is L-U-S-H-A-B-A. Inkosi Gwala, Gwala is G-W-A-L-A. Inkosi Linda Matonsi, Linda is spelled as L-I-N-D-A, Matonsi is M-A-T-H-O-N-S-I. Of Mandeni, Mandeni is spelled as M-A-N-D-E-N-I. Inkosi Zondi of Umvoti, Zondi is Z-O-N-D-I, and Umvoti is U capital M-V-O-T-I. Inkosi Beyiphika Mdluli, Inkosi Beyiphika is N-K-O-S-I-B-E-Y-I-P-H-I-K-A. Mdluli is M-D-L-U-L-I. From Umkhanyakude, Umkhanyakude is U capital M-K-H-A-N-Y-A-K-U-D-E. Inkosi Magongo Bheka Inkosi Gwala, Magongo is M-A-G-O-N-G-O. Bheka Inkosi is B-H-E-K-I-N-K-O-S-I. Ugwala has been spelled before, and of Emaphepheteni, Emaphepheteni is E-M-A-P-H-E-P-H-E-T-H-E-N-I, and with a capital E from the beginning of the word. In Indwedwe is spelled as capital NDWEWE. I think that's the last one for this paragraph.
Yes,
I think Ndwedwe is NDWEDWE.
Thanks, Chairperson.
Proceed, Mr. Kwala.
Thank you very much. Two, during the 2014 elections, the station commander of the Wembezi police station at Tumches, Superintendent Mlaba, was recorded during the morning parade when he instructed policemen to shoot IP members and not to be scared of them. He said that they must use the material they have, referring to their guns. He said that they must protect the ANC because it was the ANC who liberated the country. He also said that the IFP are a bunch of killers that will perish in the next election. We made the tapes or the tape available to the previous MEC. That case was not resolved. We feel that the IFP cases are not properly investigated because of influence by superiors. The MEC for Community Safety and Liaison, Willis Mkunu, promised to have the matter investigated by IPIT. To this day, there has been no response from either the MEC or IPIT. To us, as the IFP, we feel that this is nothing but a cover-up.
For the record, Wembezi Police Station, Wembezi is spelled as capital WEMBEZI. Mlaba, for Superintendent Mlaba, is spelled as MLABA.
Proceed, sir.
Thank you. Three, Bongan Chali was shot and killed in 2010 by members of the Friends of VZ. This shooting took place in a broad daylight after the funeral of Councillor Duma and in front of the SAPS from Wembezi Police Station and community members.
Bongani Chalinchali. Bongani is BONGANI. Chalinchali is NTSHALINTSHALI. Duma is DUMA.
Proceed. Number four.
Number four, Mtembeni Machola was shot in 2010, which resulted in him being chair-bound. He's sitting next to me. During the court case, Crime Intelligence Police never come to testify, and there were threats that his attackers would strike again.
Mtembeni Machola. Mtembeni is MTHEMBENI. Majola is MAJOLA.
Proceed, Mr. Kwala.
Five, after several previous attempts, Zama Mkwanazi was shot and killed in the morning in 2010 on the road in the area called Loxloy. No arrest has been made to date. He was the newly elected IFP Mbabazane constituency chairperson. He was getting threats from the Friends of VZ that he can't be the chairperson.
Zama Mkwanazi. Zama is ZAMA. Mkwanazi is MKHWANAZI. Mbabazane is capital MBABAZANE.
Proceed, sir.
6. There was also the case of the ambush of an IFP taxi coming from Ulundi in 2010. IFP councillors and members were in the taxi that was attacked. Fortunately, the taxi was escorted by members of SABC, who also chased the attackers, who abandoned their car in the bush. The police arrested one suspect who was associated with the Friends of Visit, but the outcome of the case or its status is still unknown.
I don't think there's anything to spell there. Please proceed.
Right. 7. In the Zwelisha area, the father of Njabulo Mabasa, who was the treasurer in the IFP's Mbabazade structure, was shot and killed. He was carrying a 2-year-old child who was also shot dead. It was said at the time that the killing was to revenge Councillor Duma. The investigating officer was Mr. Vitima from the Wembesi police station. No arrest has been made to date.
In Zwelisha area, Zwelisha is spelled as capital Z-W-E-L-I-S-H-A. Njabulo Mabaso, Njabulo is spelled as N-J-A-B-U-L-O. Mabaso is M-A-B-A-S-O. Vidima is V-I-D-I-M-A.
Proceed, sir.
8. It is also of great concern that it seems that political interference in police investigations is continuing. An example of this is that several IFP councillors were arrested only days before the by-election. In May 2017, after the municipality was dissolved by the MEC for Kokta, councillors from Ngutu, these councillors were arrested for the so-called crimes that took place in November 2016. The Ngutu police case number is 1203/17. And the other in January 2017, Ngutu police case number 1345/17. The January 2017 case is that of an Induna, who is an IFP councillor, who caught people cutting down trees on his Inkosi's land. He confiscated the chainsaw that was used and handed it to the police when he reported the matter at the Ngutu police station. Again, just days before May 2017 by-election, he was arrested on a charge of robbery in connection with the chainsaw. This is obviously ludicrous because the complainant in this case is unknown, and this smacks of political interference.
Proceed.
With regard to the killings in eThekwini, it is our view as the IFP that the eThekwini municipality must take full responsibility for not investigating allegations that people were selling beds at the hostels. This is illegal and has led to overcrowding and numerous social ills. It is common knowledge that people flock to eThekwini in search of work and a better life. Due to this influx of people, accommodation is difficult to find and very expensive for people who are either unemployed or are earning very little. This creates opportunities for those who have rooms at the hostels to exploit those who are desperate for a place to live. The small rooms at the hotels have become overcrowded and have become hiding places for assassins and other criminals. These buildings are not well maintained by the municipality. Sewer system malfunction, water pipes are leaking, lighting is very bad, and the bush on the grounds are overgrown. Such conditions are ideal for criminal activities, as is evidence from the ongoing killings. The municipality is not taking the issue of violence around Durban seriously, since it has representation on the multi-party intervention committee, but there is no member that attends the meetings.
eThekwini
eThekwini is Thekwini.
Proceed, Mr. Kwala.
Yes. On the 28th of June 2015, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi met with hostel dwellers at their request at the Edward Hotel in Durban, with 3 representatives from each hostel around Durban. The hostel dwellers were led by Mr. Mthembiseni Thusi, who is the chairperson of Ubunye Bama Hostel. As ordinary people, regardless of their political affiliations, they wanted to meet him as Prime Minister to the King and the Zulu nation. They wanted him to secure a meeting with the King with the sole intention of seeking the King's intervention in quelling the violence in Durban. As I was also invited to the meeting, I suggested in that meeting that His Majesty should be the last resort after taking their concerns to the provincial government via the MEC for Community Safety and Liaison, Willie Simkhulu. 2 days later, I met with MEC Willie Simkhulu and the chairperson of the Community Safety and Liaison Portfolio Committee, Honorable Bheki Ntuli. To this date, neither the then MEC for Community Safety, Willie Simkhulu, then Premier Senzo Mkhulu, nor the chairperson of the Community Safety and Liaison Portfolio Committee, Honorable Bheki Ntuli, has met with the delegation and taken up their offer to assist government in finding solution to the violence.
For the records, Mthembiseni Thusi. Mthembiseni is MTHEMBISENI. Thusi is THUSI. Ubunye Bama Hostela is capital UBUNYE BAMBA HOSTELA. Bheki Ntuli. Bheki is BHEKI and Ntuli is NTULI.
I think there's a misspelling of Ubunye Bama Hostel.
Ubunye Bama Hostela, according to the records, it's written one name. I'm not sure whether the chairperson wants me to spell it in 2 different, like in 2 separate names.
No, there is a B there, the 3rd B, which should not be there.
Oh, okay. Ubunye Bama Hostela, it's UBUNYE BAMAHOSTELA.
Thank you.
Chairperson, I think there's name that was omitted, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi.
I think everybody knows that.
That's fine then.
Thanks, Chair. Then our concern is that there are many other people who have been killed, but it is difficult to say whether these were politically motivated because the police have not investigated fully and have not given feedback to the families. We also have names of IFP leaders who have been killed in many other areas, such as Watuguza, Umhlatuze, and Port Shepstone, but we are unable to get accurate details of those cases since families move away from those areas due to intimidation.
For the record, Watuguza is capital KWA, capital DUKUZA. Umhlatuze is U, capital MHLATHUZE.
And as I continue, okay.
It must.
It must also be said that while some of the killings are the result of criminal activity and general lawlessness, what is of concern to people on the street is the incompetence on the part of the police and the justice system. It is our view that there's to be an investigation into the allegations that weapons used in many killings come from the police. One wonders if some police officers are complicit in these killings in order to benefit financially. There must be an investigation into the allegation that some of police officers turn to criminal activity during the times when they are not on official police duty, since they have access to sensitive information which is used in committing crimes. Such police officers destroy people's lives and demean the subs while they derive personal benefit. There are many families still in mourning, but their loss is simply not a priority for the police investigation. We hope that the Commission will shed light on these matters, but we also ask that it take into account the submission by the IFP by recommending that investigation be pursued into all political matters that remain unresolved. This would undoubtedly shed light on the underlying causes for the continuation of political violence in KwaZulu-Natal. It is our perception that the infighting in the ANC is largely due to a struggle for positions and business contracts, while entrepreneurs have become disparate in securing contracts. Politicians and would-be politicians have become equally disparate to secure positions within structures and in all three tiers of government. The policy of cadre deployment to lucrative positions with the administrations of municipalities and the legislature has added to incompetence and corrupt practices. Once comrades within the ANC see their colleagues becoming wealthy through ill-begotten gains, they also want a share of the ever-dwindling pie. This has seen an increase in violence among members of the ANC who are constantly jostling for position. Chairperson, I'm also attaching here to a submission made by the IFP to the multi-party peace summit on political violence that took place on the 14th August 2012, which speaks to the IFP's perception on the influence of corruption in the escalation of political violence. I also have an addendum to my report, which is a response to the City Press article. Chairperson, in this City Press, it's last week, we also attached 2 articles, in fact, that appeared in the City Press this past Sunday, 17 September 2017, issued by high-profile leaders in the ANC, and both these articles speak directly to the issue of violence in KwaZulu-Natal. The Article 1, which talks about "Tell Us Where the Guns Are" by Peggy Cele. It is unfortunate that Cele considers this commission's work as nothing more than a storytelling exercise. It must be remembered that Peggy Cele was once the MEC for Community Safety in KZN, and then went on to become the National Police Commissioner. Having occupied both these high-profile positions, Cele should have vital information that he should share with this commission. It does not help when Cele is quoted as blaming the IFP for the long-standing culture of political killings. While Cele wants to know where the arms catchers are, it must be remembered that the IFP leader, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, is on record for making calls for the arms catchers to be revealed and handed over to the relevant authorities, but this has never happened. The Article 2 is in the scores of hitmen in our midst. In this article, Premium Coon implies that Izinkabi or hitmen and those involved in cash in transit says are IFP members because they belong to the self-protection units that could not be reintegrated while the MK members were reintegrated into the Defense Force. He is quoted as saying that those who could not be reintegrated had 2 options: join the ranks of the Izinkabi or taking part in the cash in transit haste. This is wholly untrue because people also had the option of becoming law-abiding citizens and seeking legal work options. It is disingenuous to imply that these people only saw crime as a means of earning a living. Such statements are inflammatory and baseless, if not supported by hard facts. Chairperson, we find it strange that both these articles would be published a day before this commission was to commence this hearing this week in Durban. It is our view that the comments made by both Premier Wilson Mchunu and the Deputy Minister, Peggy Cele, are not supportive of this commission's work, nor do they in any way assist in stemming the violence in the province. Lastly, Chairperson, I just want to quote on the 19th, that is Tuesday today, in the Mercury, where Mkhwanazi of the ANC testified in this commission. The killings will stop once the ANC is out. I'll quote just 2 paragraphs by Tami Makubane. Political motivated killings, it's not the IFP, is an ANC member that is actually talking. Political motivated killings that have ravaged KwaZulu-Natal will only stop if the ANC is voted out of power. Then, if I can jump to another one, is that Mkhwanazi said that the ANC was troubled by the increasing number of factions, manipulation of councillor lists, and corruption that was playing out in municipalities. We appreciate, as the IFP, the Commission's attention to these important issues, and we avail ourselves for further engagement. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Kwala. The last document, would you like that to be handed in as an exhibit before the Commission? The last one, addendum.
Yes.
Exhibit M, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Chairperson, I propose that we continue, say, until 11:30 and then take a short break.
Yes, I think there's another document which has not been distributed. I think it's an extract from today's Mercury, to which Mr. Kwala was referring.
Yes, I'd ask the Secretariat to make a copy, 9 copies for everyone, and then that will form an attachment to Exhibit M, just like the 2 City Press articles.
Yes. Sure. Please proceed then.
Thank you. Mr. Kwala, let's deal with some of the things that you said in Exhibit J. I'm on the 2nd page of Exhibit J, the 3rd paragraph. The first presentation, Exhibit J, your main presentation. I'm on the 2nd page, page 2, the 3rd paragraph, where you talk about the last sentence. In fact, the IFP is asserting that the birth of the NFP was funded and strategized by the ANC. Is that the IFP's theory, or is it more than a theory? Is it factual?
Chairperson, it is not a theory, it is a fact. And I've alluded to the fact that Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, as president of the IFP and also a member of the National Assembly, presented these facts on the floor of Parliament with the president of the Republic, president of the Republic of South Africa, and not a single one opposed that. And there were facts with him, not just an off-the-cuff thing, because there were some things that he actually distributed in the National Assembly.
Linked to that, Mr. Kwala.
And also, it has been also, when Willis Mkhunu also is saying the very same thing, that indeed it's happening.
I saw that. The assertions that you attribute to Premier Willis Mkhunu, is that part of the proof that you say makes this assertion factual, that the birth of the NFP was funded and strategized by the ANC? In other words, are you also basing that conclusion on what you allege Premier Willis Mkhunu said?
Yes, in fact, I must say that it is true. In fact, people from the NFP are coming to the IFP en masse because some were part of these deliberations when they went to the the ANC. It was a matter of an agreement between the two. The main reason was to destroy the IFP from within.
I see. Let me just clarify that I understand what you're saying. Are you saying some of the members of the NFP who have returned to the IFP have actually confirmed that.
Yes, there are some who have confirmed, yes.
You've also answered the question that I was going to ask next, but I'd ask you to repeat it anyway. In the IFP's view, what do you believe was the motivation for the funding of the NFP and the strategy behind the forming of the NFP by the ANC?
No, this thing actually comes from a long way, because the ANC had a strategy of a one-party state in South Africa. Firstly, is that every port in South Africa must become an ANC. When they talk as if everybody is free to form his own organization. But what they say is different from what they do. Even the NADECO was actually funded by the ANC, but unfortunately it also failed.
Sorry, before you proceed, as I said, we don't want to assume that we know things here. Briefly tell the Commission about NADECO. What is NADECO? Where did it come from, and what is its current status?
NADECO was a splinter party from the IFP, which was led by none other than Dr. Zibachian.
Yes.
Who was a member of the legislature and also once a chairperson, national chairperson of the party, and then he was funded to form an organization so that he can take more members from the IFP to NADECO.
Funded by who?
By the same organization. That is the ANC. That's why he had a tender for 100 million to run buses in Richards Bay. But when he failed, and then they cut off the tender.
All right. What is the current status of NADECO? Is it still existent?
It's not existing now.
All right. Let's.
Then they continued now to take the former national chairperson, Gamakwaza Msibi, to also to divide the party so that he can form her own. That's why she took us to court, because he wanted actually to take and own the IFP to the ANC.
I don't envy the interpreter.
Iyoba is spelled as IYOBA. Umjonjo is UMNJONJO.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not sure whether I'll give the correct explanation or of Umjonjo, but it's something.
No, sorry.
Okay.
It's not necessary to speculate. Mr. Kwala, explain what that means. Even if it's Zulu, then it can be interpreted. Or in English if you want.
Umjonjo, I'll say it in Zulu.
Sure.
Umjonjo, kuyakuthi ma intombi qoma. Bese kuba khona nje sipho nje esihle esikhishwayo. Sikhishwe nje ukubonga ukuthi waze wasebenza. Sesiyonikezwa ke lo okuyena onikeliwe kuyena owesifazane enikezwa ilona wesilisa umjojo ke lo.
Ngamanye amazwi insizwa le eqonyiwe inikeza intombi leso sipho.
Insizwa mayisiqonyiwe ijabula kuze kweqe.
Yebo.
bese ke ikhipha noma yini nje isipho nje sokuthi hawu ngiyabonga ukuthi ngiqonywe wena ngoba kade ngihlupheka.
Okay. Can that be explained in English, please?
If I heard it clearly, it's a gift from a male person who has received love from a girl, just to say thank you for accepting my love.
Thank you. That's a sweet and short version. Let's proceed, Mr. Gwala.
No, I've come.
I'm now on page 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Paragraph 5, third from the bottom.
Page 3.
Yes. Paragraph 5, which is the third from the bottom.
2, 3, 4. Oh, 5 from the bottom.
3 from the bottom.
3 from the bottom, yes.
Yeah. You are talking about, in fact, you repeat that assertion in many other places. Evidence has been laid before this commission by ANC members and witnesses whose relatives were ANC members and were killed. In many instances, they are also unhappy about the manner that the police are conducting the investigations. Some of them are citing ineffectiveness, political interference, and sheer dereliction of duty for political ends. The question is, in the light of that, I'm telling you specific evidence before this court. Of course, as an experienced politician, you also know what is...
You mean before the commission, not the court? Okay.
Sorry, did I say court? Before the commission. Also, as an experienced politician, you know what is in the public domain. Would you concede that the unhappiness about the police is not unique to the IFP? In other words, as I've said, ANC family members and the community in general are unhappy about the manner that the police are investigating cases of political violence.
Not only political violence. There is weakness in the police.
In general?
In general. You can go outside here. You need not to... You can ask people outside. Then they will tell you that there is a problem.
We will go back to this point when, at the end, I ask you for the IFP's recommendations regarding these shortcomings, so to speak. So we will deal with this later. In other words, please prepare to give the IFP's recommendation as to what should be done regarding poor performance or inefficiency on the part of the police. Let's go to same sentence, or rather same paragraph. Crime escalates when there is a perceived lack of consequences. Are you saying, Mr. Gwala, the IFP believes that part of the underlying causes of this political violence is the impunity? In other words, if criminals are not brought to book and these political killings are not investigated, it escalates them in the sense that because there's no deterrent, then it goes on.
Yes. Just take, for example, I highlighted the fact that there is what is called when somebody is just appointed to head the police, just an ordinary man in the street can be picked up and lead the police force without any training. That is actually the is one of the factors that's actually caused the to the failure of the police to do their work correctly. Any Dick, Tom and Harry can lead the police force. And you can imagine when you take a Kirkley header to be a principal of a school and you expect that there will be any good results after that. And then secondly is the issue of the criminals. I've spoken to the issue in my presentation regarding the matter in Inanda, where one member of the party was shot in a broad daylight in the precinct of the court. There were police, there were media personnel, and the person was actually apprehended, he was taken, and there was a gun in his hand, but that case died a natural death, if there is such a thing. You ask yourself, what is the reason? Because what we were told, maybe my attorney will actually testify on this. What we were told is that it's because the SABC did not give them a videotape of what happened. So the question I'm asking as a man in the street, so it is worse for South Africa, because if a woman is raped in a sugarcane, there will be no tape recorder or a video that will actually take it. So then it means then women are going to be abused by men.
Are you saying there was ample other evidence on the basis of which the case should have proceeded, besides the alleged video footage from SABC?
We were told that the reason is that SABC is refusing. I think SABC didn't want to be part of the problem because they are working for their own thing.
Yes.
I agree with them, but police were there. It was inside the court precinct, and police were there, and a person was actually apprehended, and the gun was found, but the court failed to go on with the trial. You ask yourself, what is this?
Same paragraph, Mr. Kwalal, read, the IFP believes that many murders and attempted murders would never have taken place except for the belief on the part of the perpetrators that they are politically protected from punishment. Who does the IFP assert is protecting these criminals from punishment?
No, I can say that it is done by the government through the police. That is the answer that I can give you.
Okay.
Yeah. I can even go further.
Yes.
Taking about the issue, because I heard the police when I was in the community safety and liaison talking about somebody who has been given a life sentence of killing a certain Mr. Sipondovela.
Yeah, that's recent.
Yeah, it's a clear indication the lawlessness in this country, because Sipondovela was taken by the police to court in order for him to give witnesses of the other killings in the hostel. So the police decided to leave him, and they went somewhere. I don't know where somewhere, but according to the information, the police went to Spain. After testifying in court, then Ndovela phoned the police to say, I'm now done. Then they said, okay, we are coming from Isipin. Go out of the court and wait for us outside. That is the information that we received. So he went outside the court. That's where he was shot and killed. So the question whether the person who quit Ndovela has been
convicted.
Convicted, yes. whether that person who killed Ndovela has been convicted. The truth is that what happens with the police, the police who took him from there and deserted him in the court present.
I'm on page 4 now. So, very first paragraph. So the question must be asked why a commission of inquiry has only been established now and why its investigations have been limited to the period after 2011. In the previous page, you've set the background to that, but what I would like to know, what does the IFP believe is the reason for that? In other words, I'm asking you to please give your thoughts on that.
People are not aware, Chairperson, that I'm serving also in the multi-party intervention committee. And I'm also a member of the legislature serving on community safety and liaison. The initial proposal by the ANC was for the commission to investigate the killing within the ANC. So the opposition party said, no, it cannot happen. You can't use state resources to investigate yourself. Why don't you look for private investigators to investigate your own thing? Then they said, okay, it's fine. Let us incorporate all political killings. But we failed to push the ruling party beyond 2011. But they insisted that it must be 2011. To us, it's because they don't want to interfere with the other killings because it will expose them.
This is interesting to us as evidence leaders. I have reasons for saying so. Can you sort of give the year, just the year, what year was this when you say the ANC initially wanted the commission to investigate ANC killings only? What year was that proposed by the ANC?
It was last year.
Last year?
Yes.
Thank you. Chairperson, may we take a short break at the stage for 15 minutes?
Yes, we'll adjourn for 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the Moerane Commission in KZN, of course, looking at all the killings in KZN, and we'll bring you an update. They are taking a break right now, but we are also taking a break. We'll be right back after that.
So it's between
What is the question?
In respect of the ANC, you are elaborating in that paragraph why you believe the ANC is fighting within itself. So I will not go into it.
Oh, yes.
Let's go back to the page where we were, page 4. What does the IFP believe are the underlying causes for the violence within the NFP itself?
Within the NFP?
Yes.
The violence between the NFP itself, firstly, it is caused by the power struggle, merely because, firstly, they undermine each other, because the president of the NFP is indisposed. So now you can see that they want to take over. Whoever is fighting with the other wants to take over
the leadership.
And secondly is that they want also to be in charge of the purse.
As in the finance?
Yes, on the finances, because there are some, especially those in the legislature and parliament. You know that there are monies that are given to political parties.
Yes.
So now, who controls the purse?
Okay.
So they are jostling for the position in order to do just that. And then thirdly is the issue of the list.
Of the?
Of the list.
Okay.
Yeah. The list, it's, I don't know, but the list is the cause also of the intra-party conflict.
What list, Mr. Kwala?
It's called as a parliamentary list, or in the form of a local government. When you go to parliament or you go to a municipality,
yes,
then there is a list that is actually drawn by the party, who becomes number 1, who becomes number 2, who becomes number 3.
Okay, I understand.
Now, if Mr. de Klerk is number 1, then I will always fight to be number 1 so that he becomes number 2. So that is the issue. And
okay.
Secondly, if de Klerk is number 9 and the quota by the IEC takes only 9 members to either to the legislature or parliament or to a local municipality or district municipality.
Yes.
And I'm number 10.
Yes.
I will be either praying or either using all sorts of things to make sure that one is killed, because I'm number 10 and I'm out of being in parliament, because the quota took up to 9, as I'm making an example, and I'm number 10, but I'm not in the municipality or in parliament. So I'll always look to the 9 members who are in parliament or 9 members who are in the municipality, who is going to die, so that if he or she dies, then I become the next to get into that particular structure.
I understand. In a way, you've answered my next question, but I'd ask you to confirm it. So, are you saying the infighting with within the NFP is at all levels, local right up to national?
It is. That's why they are in court. They are up and down in court to ask the court to separate them. But the truth is that it's in national and in the province. Unfortunately, at local level, they've just died natural death. They are not there.
There's one witness who testified before this commission, Councillor Dubazana of Wembezi.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of the name of the municipality. Babazana.
Babazana, yes.
Yes, he testified about internal conflicts within the NFP, but of interest, you've also mentioned it in your evidence. He said he and many other people who had left the IFP returned to the IFP. What if you could sort of quantify the numbers roughly? What is the ratio of going back to the IFP from the NFP? Are the numbers big?
The number is not big, it's huge. Because some members who were hoodwinked to believe that when we are in NFP, we are like in heaven. There is no fighting, there is no debates, there is no robust debate as it is in the NFP, I mean in the IFP. So then when they are there, they learn and saw a different picture altogether. Secondly, is that they were hoodwinked that forming a new organization, they will be independent as the NFP, only to learn at a later stage that there is what is called a quid pro quo, that you form your own organization and your leader will be in cabinet. Then others said, no, we cannot be misled in a way, because some of them who were in the IFP were not happy with what the ANC is doing. But when they went to the NFP, they thought that the NFP will be an independent party, only to discover that even during the negotiations, they were dragooned to form a coalition with the ANC. It's not because there was any agreement, they sat down and discussed the issue. They were dragooned that you are supposed to, then they said, no, we are not going to do it. And others stayed with the NFP because there were incentives, because others were councillors and others were members of the legislature and parliament. So they decided to squat in that party until such time, and then they'll come back to the IFP. Yes, yeah. But unfortunately is that there was this issue of failing to put a deposit with the IEC, and the wheels were off. And that was the end of it.
All right.
Yeah. And I can make an example even in Babazana itself, because in Babazana there was a time when the NFP councillors refused to vote with the ANC, and they voted with the IFP, and it caused a major problem, because the senior leadership wanted them to vote with the ANC.
Let's. I'm going to refer to evidence again. It will lead me to a certain point. The evidence was also led before this commission that NFP councillor Nompumelelo Lozondi of Pomeroy was killed. The indication is that it was contestation within the NFP. But of significance is that his brother said, her brother said she was talking to them as a family that she would go back to the IFP. Yes. Now, here's the question, Mr. Kwala. In your analysis as the IFP, is there any violence between the IFP and the NFP, inter-party? I'm asking in the context of the background that I have said.
No, it wasn't, except the words, fighting, talking, to say, just like during the election where the NFP leaders were saying they will kill the IFP because the IFP was involved in taking their members, but there is no direct killing that is in between. That's why in my presentation, it's very difficult to separate ANC from NFP. Oyedwa kulukhuni ukuthi is an ANC or is an NFP. It's just one thing.
I think that calls for interpretation.
Mr. Kwala. Mr. Kwala, please don't misconstrue me. I am not saying you shouldn't be speaking in what we call injula, yes, Zulu, but you are. And in the process making it difficult for the interpreter. Could you explain what you mean? Velange, wind, etc. You can explain in this Zulu.
No, what I was trying to say here is that literally I'm saying if one from the ANC, you see him through a window, it will be very difficult to say is an NFP or is an ANC, because they are the one that they work as one team.
Chairperson, I apologize. I was conferring with my learned colleague. Okay, let's move on. I'm still interested in intra-violence between the NFP and the IFP. Are you saying in the IFP's analysis, there's no violence at all between the NFP and the IFP?
Yes, as far as I'm concerned, and with my understanding where I sit, there was none, because I can even say that at one point there was a violence there was a violence in KwaMashu, where the leader of the NFP wanted to go to KwaMashu with the IFP president, but he wanted her to explain why with the IFP president, because there was we needed something that will actually say the problem is between the IFP and the NFP.
I'll just again refer to evidence before this commission and ask for your comment. I am going to elaborate. A witness testified about the murder of his brother at Umlazi, T section 17. I'll tell you the facts and then ask for your comment. His version was that he and his brother had defected to the NFP. This is now 2011. And they were at a tavern at T section Umlazi. His brother was wearing a T-shirt with the picture of Kamakwaza Msebi, NFP. And an IFP member at the tavern said, we can't be drinking with NFP members. He and his brother, the deceased, then left the tavern. The witness went to sleep. Later, much later, hours later, he was told that his brother had been killed. That's not so much the point, but the point that he made, he was asked specifically, was there a lot of incidents of violence involving the IFP and the NFP at Umlazi T section, and he said yes. What is your response to that?
The witness is conferring.
Yes.
With Mr. de Klerk.
No, Chairperson, I think maybe it's an isolated incident because there was no direct conflict between ourselves and the NFP, not because we accepted the NFP. That's why earlier on I said that yes, the war of words between the IFP and the NFP, there was that conflict, but fighting mukuluma in a form of saying why you left us, something like that. Just like as some others, when they come to the IFP, some they ask a question. They said in Tolin Lagatenekon, what did you get where you were? So those are just the words. It's not a direct fighting between the two organizations.
Let's move on. I'm on. Oh, sorry, you're conferring with Mr. de Klerk.
You'll explain when we talk. Yes.
Let's move on. I'm still on page 4. The next paragraph now, third paragraph from the top. I will not go into it, but you are referring to specific incidents, and in short, you are saying as the IFP, you have no answers to the families of all those people. The short question, Mr. Kwala, is what would you like to be done as the IFP about those incidents?
Which one?
Page 4, paragraph 3. I'm just.
Oh yes.
Yeah, referring to them collectively. You can do so as well.
No, this I was saying actually that our worry is the way in which the police handle these matters, because each time when there is a killing, then it ends there. There is no report that comes from the police to say, now we are here with the investigation, we have difficulty here, only to hear at a time when the killing takes place, when the police will say we are investigating. That is the end of the story. So that's why we are saying we do not have answers, the answers from the police, because the police are responsible to arrest the people who have been actually killed, whether it is political or not political, but it's the work of the police. It is not up to me to say the community must assist the police. That is another matter. But so it means the intelligence is also weak, because they are supposed to get information even through their own intelligence, rather than relying on members of the public to tell them what actually happened.
We will deal with this point again in your recommendation. So, in short, are you saying there is unhappiness? You, as the IFP, would like the police to keep the family members of the deceased informed?
I think it is important. It is important to do so, because after mourning, with no information from the police, then there is a problem with the family, because they think that the government is not looking after them.
Okay, let's, same page 4, last paragraph, about the incident involving the station commissioner of Wembezi. Again, I want to confirm that Councillor Dubazana testified about this incident. Two questions in this regard. You are talking about the matter being referred to IPID. Do you, as the IFP, believe that the conduct of the station commissioner was criminal?
No, it was not really criminal, but he was inciting violence, because if he's asking the police that what is this for, so it means then he was actually instructing the police to kill the IFP.
I excuse you. You are not a lawyer. It is criminal. In the light of your answer, yeah.
Oh, okay.
In the light of your answer.
So I'm just a man in the spirit, so
I understand.
So play with me.
I'm basing my advice on your own answer.
Yes, okay.
It is criminal indeed.
Yes. Okay.
Two, do you believe it was misconduct?
Yes, it is. It is.
Do you know if any disciplinary steps were taken against the station commissioner?
No, our worry is that we were misled by the the former, the then MEC for Community Safety and License, because he told us that he is going to take the matter to the IPT to investigate.
Yes.
That's why we honestly took that cassette and give it to him. And then 2 years later, then I investigated from the premier. Then he told that he has got no powers over IPID. So that was a new matter, because we gave it to him, said it lies with the IPID. When the National Portfolio Committee of Safety, not community safety, but safety, community safety is still the same.
Yes.
Came to the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So there was a time when we were interrogating the IPID. So when I raised this issue, they said no, they don't know about it. Nobody ever brought the matter to them. So now then we are in a queer street, because over 3 years, or more than 3 years, we have been informed that the IPID is dealing with the matter. So you can see that it was a cover-up done by the premier.
Do you know whether this station commissioner is still at Wembezi, or anywhere in the police for that matter?
So, I'm told that he is now on pension. I don't know whether Uhobile La Papati is on pension as we speak.
Sorry, I need to take you back, and then we'll close page 4. The paragraph prior to that, in other words, which is subparagraph 1 on page 4, we say the number of Amakosi. Somewhere in the middle, you are saying there was no offer of rewards for the arrest and conviction of any of their killers.
Yes, I must also indicate, Chairperson, that it was some sort of a misprint here. It's a brother to Inkosi Lushaba, not Inkosi Lushaba. Inkosi Lushaba died on a national death. He's a brother to Inkosi Lushaba, who was shot and killed.
Okay. Chairperson, may the presentation be amended accordingly.
Yes, it will be so done.
Thank you.
Yes, but to us, as the IFP, I think Amakos are being treated as the second-class citizens, because when any prominent member, especially of an ANC, is killed, Then there is a special task team that is established to investigate and apprehend the perpetrators. But when it comes to Amakosi, then nothing happens. So that is our concern. And that because Amakosi are also public representatives, they were supposed to be incorporated into this, but they were not at all incorporated because, according to us, it's because they are just non-entities. They are not even supposed to be there. That's why, because as a government in the province, they should have noticed why the killing of more than 5 Amakosi and without trace who is killing them.
Linked to that, this is where we are going. You are specific. There was no offer of rewards for the arrest and conviction of any of their killers. You've set the background that Amakosi are community leaders and should be taken seriously. Are you suggesting, in terms of offering of rewards now, that there's discrimination, for lack of a better word, depending who is killed?
No, but it happens to other people. It happens to other leaders to say there is so much. 50,000, for example, 100,000 leading to the arrest of a particular somebody. But when it comes to Amakosi, nothing happens. So it means then they are not treated as citizens, maybe as second-class citizens. That's why they ignore the killing of Amakosi themselves. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so the point is the killing of Amakosi is not taken as seriously as it should. That is
Yes.
evident in the sense that not even rewards are offered.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, I understand you. Let's move on. The aspect about the 2014 incident of the station commissioner making the utterances and him being recorded, can you give the year that the IFP took this up with Premier Mchunu?
It was immediately after I received that information as we were campaigning for the 2014 local government elections.
So same year, it was reported to him?
Yes, not same year, but it was the same month. I took it on the same month when we were, after hearing that it happened last week, so we took the matter because it was hot, very hot.
Same month of the same year?
Of the same year.
All right.
Yeah.
Page 5, again, as I said, we don't want to assume anything. Who is VZ?
VZ is none other than Veronica Zanele Makwaza Msibi, who is the president of the NFP.
Thank you. And next paragraph, paragraph 4, Tembeni Majola, who is part of your delegation, Councillor Majola, was shot in 2010. During the court case, crime intelligence, police never came to testify, and there were threats that his attackers would strike again. Two questions of clarity here, Mr. Kwala. Crime intelligence, why do you believe they should have come and testified?
In fact, we knew that the crime intelligence knew before it happened, but they didn't even tell him, but they knew about that. And then that's why we are saying they did not testify to strengthen, because it means if they even know who is doing it.
Yes.
Yeah, but they hold it to themselves.
You can ask Mr. Majola if you have no update. What was the outcome of the court case?
Ladliwa inja.
I beg your pardon?
Ladliwa inja. So meaning that it died a natural death. It didn't even go to court.
No, I need to clarify.
In isiZulu, when I mean there is a trial, and then there is no result, then you say icala lidliwe inja. So it means then it didn't go any further because there was no strong evidence in court.
Okay.
Yes.
Excuse my curiosity. I'm a lawyer. You can't take that away from me.
Yes.
What do you mean nothing happened? It would have been one of two things. Was it withdrawn, or were the perpetrators, rather the accused, acquitted? Withdrawn or acquitted?
No, the person who was actually arrested was acquitted merely because it happened at night. So it means things happened at night cannot see the light of the day.
Thank you. However, you are unhappy about the fact that crime intelligence knew in advance that Mr. Majola would be attacked and they did not give evidence in court.
Yes.
As I informed you, the reason I'm clarifying these things, you can see General Mekute is present on behalf of the police and their counsel, Mr. Ngobo. Let's move on. Paragraph Paragraph 8. I will not ask for a response now, but it's one of the things that I would need you to address in your recommendations. It is also of great concern that it seems that political interference in police investigations is continuing. Don't respond now, but bear that in mind when you deal with your recommendations. But on the same paragraph, you are giving reference numbers to police cases. Again, in my experience, Mr. de Klerk will assist you in this regard. He knows. It appears that there's something not right with the police reference numbers. Let's take the one more to police case number 1203/17. A case number is not framed in that manner. It's usually a number slash the month. If it's February, it will be 02. If it's December 12, and then slash the year.
Yes.
Do you, maybe not now, but will you be able to get the correct reference number so that we can then forward them to the police?
Yeah, according to what I see, you are correct, but maybe the attorney will
deal with it.
Yes.
Okay, this is important so that when we ask the police to follow up, they know exactly which case. This applies to both actually. The next one, move to case number 1345/17, also is not right. Let's move on. Last paragraph on page 5. With regards to the killings in eThekwini, and then when you go down, it is clear that you are talking about hostels.
It's about?
Hostels.
Yes.
Which hostels are you talking about?
I'm talking about all hostels because in Cliplands there is hostel, in Wamashu there is hostel. There are many hostels in Durban where killings actually take place. So I was talking hostels in general, not one hostel.
I see, but more specifically, Cliplands and Wamashu.
And Wamashu, yes.
In your knowledge as the IFP, I'm asking because many witnesses have testified about Cleveland's hostel before this commission. No one has testified about KwaMashu hostel and Dalton. And I'm not sure, please excuse me if I'm using the old name. Is it still called S.J. Smith in Wema?
Yes, S.J. Smith and Tabizowanja.
Let's call it Wema, W-E-M-A.
Yes, Wema.
No one has testified about Dalton and Wema. What is your experience? Is there political violence in those three hostels? In other words, KwaMashu, Wema, and Dalton?
Yes, when I spoke about Mr. Tusi, who met with the Prince Mangoso Tubuteles, they hinted some of the things which included all the hostels. I think he is the one who can actually go into details because I cannot speak on behalf of them. But because they were coming from all hostels in Durban, so they have their own issues. But on Obunya Bama hostel, yes.
Chairperson, please bear with us. Can we go back to paragraph 3 on page 5? Bongani Njali was shot and killed in 2010 by members of the Friends of VZ, whom you've clarified who she is. This shooting took place in broad daylight after the funeral of Councillor Duma and in front of the SAPS from Wembezi police station and community members. In short, where do you base this? Is based on facts, in other words, witnesses' accounts who were present?
I was saying this because there were witnesses there, but it's been ignored by the police.
So, in other words, this assertion is based on witnesses' accounts who were present?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Page 6. It's easy to start from the bottom. 1, 2, third paragraph from the bottom. From the bottom.
Oh, from the bottom.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. I'm starting second sentence somewhere. What is of concern to people on the street is the incompetence on the part of the police and justice system. Let's clarify this, Mr. Kwala.
Chairperson, when I talk of incompetence on the part of the police and the justice system, I will make 2 examples. The first one is that a brother to Mr. Biela, Councillor Biela, who is also next to me, was killed, was shot and killed. So a perpetrator and a person who killed him was known by Biela himself. So the matter was taken to the police, and then the matter went to court, and then when it was in court, then and then there was a language which we did not understand because we are not lawyers, but the person was actually acquitted. Then at a later stage, then there was a need.
To the IFP's Bless Gwala, who's been testifying today, going through some interesting tests.
To court, and he was identified somewhere in the Mtetwa area in Wambonambi, and then he was also reported to the police, and he was taken from the police, from that area back to the police, and then when it went to court, sorry, Chair.
No problem.
Then the issue in court was that no, he was not supposed to be arrested. They should have told him about a date of the trial.
What eventually became of that court case? You can ask Mr. Biel.
So because the court said he was not supposed to be arrested, they should have actually gave him a date when he would appear in court, and then he was released. And then later, because of the pressure again, now the police can't find him.
I see.
So that's why I'm talking about the justice system that is actually failing the people of South Africa.
But Chairperson, as lawyers, I think it would be fair to understand Mr. Gwala to say, because he said he was acquitted, the charges were actually withdrawn.
Withdrawn, yes.
Not acquitted.
Thank you.
Thank you. My focus here, Mr. Gwala, is you've used the word incompetence. I'll give a background. Most witnesses before this commission, if not all, a lot of evidence has been led. I certainly cannot recall anyone saying the police are incompetent. I just need to understand this, because there's a difference between incompetence and being ineffective. Are you saying the police are totally incompetent, as in they can't do their job, or they can, but they are not doing it? In other words, they are inefficient. And in the process, is it a question of dereliction of duty for political reasons?
I think that it's both. It's both incompetent and ineffectiveness to deal with the matters, because some are incompetent because they are not really trained. They were actually deployed there as cadres of Mkhonto who were not trained to be peace officers, but they were at war fighting for political reasons. So they are now deployed in the police force, and some they are ineffective for many reasons. Maybe it's cause of a morale, because they are being led by someone who is not actually trained. There is a special word they use, flayman, so they are being led by a flayman, who just like me, to lead the police force, and then I think it will be a mess up. So that's why I'm using these two words, incompetent and ineffective, to deal with the crime or the killing or whatever you call it.
Thank you. I just needed clarity on that. In your analysis as the IFP, is the issue of resources a problem? Are the police either incompetent or inefficient because they lack resources?
I don't think that it's about the resources. I don't think it's about the resources. It's about ineffectiveness and incompetence, as far as I can see, because I visited most of the police stations as a member of the portfolio committee, and I've never heard that the policemen do not have a gun, for example. So they do have a gun, but they use it wrongly instead of using it for the good of the country.
On that note, as a member of the community, an experienced politician, and specifically a member of the portfolio committee, this assertion that there are ex-MK members who are deployed in the police, is it a national phenomenon? In other words, is it happening nationally, or is it specific province, or what is the position?
No, to me, I think it's national, because most MK members, as according to the statement made by Begicele himself, they were all integrated into the police force. So to me, their interest is about to strengthen their own political party rather than protecting the citizens of the country.
Mr. Kwala, let's move on to the second document, Multi-Party Peace Summit on Political Violence. I have read it. It is part of your presentation. However, you are giving evidence on behalf of the IFP. Would you like to read that as a whole or refer to specific aspects of it? Otherwise, my view is that it's part of your presentation and there's no need to read it. However, we are entirely in your hands.
No, to me, there is no need for me to read, but it's part of the presentation.
Thank you. Let's talk briefly about this Multi-Party Peace Summit. What is it? When was it formed? Where is it operating? Is it a provincial summit, national summit?
This summit actually, it was held on the 14th August here in Durban. So all political parties were involved.
14 August 2012, as the document says.
Yes, 14 August 2012. So that's where I made this presentation. But it was a contribution by the president, who sent me to deliver his speech in that summit.
President of the IFP.
President of the IFP, yes.
In other words, it was just a once-off occurrence. It's not like an existing ongoing committee.
No, it wasn't. It was just a once-off, and we thought that maybe the person who was leading the multi-party peace committee, Willis Mkhunu, will be